Used to know what the crack is.
I tell you, look, you always have to have a few takes when Phelim start, don't you?
Right, okay. Right, this is a kind of like Tommy Travels series, meeting people using Precision Microbes, and I met this man, and I'll let him introduce himself in a minute. Last week we went to have a chat for 10 minutes and we spoke for 2.5 hours. Nothing about calves, more about philosophy and life, and I got some great tips there. But we are here to talk about calves and Precision Microbes today. I suppose, Phelim, you might introduce us to yourself and where we are.
Sure, so I'm Phelim Kavanagh. I'm based in a parish called Kilrush, which is close to the town of Bunclody in County Wexford.
I drove into your yard. We didn't get as far as the yard last day. We were on the kitchen table drinking tea and lots of it. But when you drive into the yard today, and I'm involved in calf rear and I've loved calves for many years and always trying to learn. You think you've learned it all, and then you come around the yard like this. Look at the attention to detail on feeding, the small elements you're doing. I picked up tips today, so I want to ask you a little bit about calf rearing at the end. But first of all, on the Precision Microbes, I understand you were a bit of a skeptic when it comes to new products, or products that are new in the market. Would I be right in saying that?
Yes, you can't cheat the nature of the beast. I am a skeptic by nature, and I regard all new products, unless it's backed up by hard science, as snake oil.
Okay.
Basically, I was asked to trial Precision Microbes by a farm manager of a man we rear calves for here, and so I agreed. I said to him, if you want to spend your money on that stuff, fair enough.
Okay.
But anyway, when all the joking was aside, we did want to find out
the benefit.
Is there any benefit?
So, from my understanding, talking to you took in 2 batches of calves that year, and you used it on 2 different groups within those batches.
Correct.
So that was your kind of on-farm trials.
Yes.
I understood you had kind of a lower group of calves, middle, and a high performing group of calves that you split your calves across.
Yes.
So tell me what you did in the 2 different trials then.
Yeah, so on trial number 1, we put the lower quality group and the in-between quality group on the microbes. We didn't put the higher quality group on the microbes. And what we found was the lower quality calf caught up to the middle quality calf. It didn't go any farther than that. It didn't go to the higher quality calf, but certainly the lower quality calf caught up with the middle quality calf. So, that was positive. We said to ourselves, maybe there actually is something in this, there's something going on here. So that whole batch was weaned then and were gone, and a new batch came in. And on batch number 2, what we did was we put the middle quality calves on the microbes. And what we found was that the middle quality calves almost caught up to the higher quality calves. And that would not happen in ordinary circumstances. They would be the middle quality at the start and they would be the middle quality at the end. But there was very little difference between the middle quality now and the really high-end quality calves. So we concluded that certainly there was a benefit here, but there was other things that we noted that really, I suppose, attracted us to the microbes and why we might add them to our toolbox in rearing calves.
Before we get into that, just on that, I would have seen that just on the snake oil comment and research. I would have done a good bit of trial work on the products that consistently, every trial we did, treating the controls, that average daily gain was one thing we saw improving, and that varied farm to farm. So, on some of the trials it was massive. It could be down to milk feeding, meal feeding, could be a lot of circumstances, but overall positive. But I was interested to hear what you were about to say next, because it is consistent feedback on farmers, is that actually can see a difference in the calves other than the performance, and that was probably, I suppose, disease-wise and stuff, was it? What were you saying?
Yeah.
Not to put words in your mouth now.
Yeah, I understand. No, no, it's a bit like the snake oil time, there's no fear of that. What we found was, in the calves on the microbes, we were doing less needling, or what we classify as needling. So we weren't going in with antibiotics as frequently. That's not to say that whatever problem you had in your calf house, that the calves on the microbes weren't picking up the problem. What we found was that the calves appeared to be better able to fight off whatever they picked up.
Yeah.
So They were easily cured when they were easier cured when they were sick. There was less in the ward time, we call it, when we have a calf on the sick ward. So if they did have to go in there, they were out very quickly. Very little was able to cure them in comparison to calves that picked up something pretty seriously, like say for example pneumonia, that weren't on the microbes. For that reason then we concluded that the calves on the microbes, because they were able to fight off sickness at a faster rate, by extension then they weren't as sick as long, and by extension would be at a higher weight on weaning. So I suppose to sum that up then, the overall general health of the calf very definitely was better on the microbes than the calves that weren't on the microbes. So what we felt about it then was that as a standard we'd use the microbes in our toolbox of calf rearing tricks, if you want to call it that, as a method to reduce antibiotic use, as a method also to reduce labour, because less sick calves, less labour. And that was a big one with us. If you have 150 calves rearing and you have 10 sick ones, well, the 10 sick ones take more time than the other 140. So if you're able to reduce that, it's a justification for using the microbes, apart from higher weight gains and the obvious advantages that.
So it's the health and the performance of the calves is the big thing for you.
Yes.
So I suppose it is now going to be part of your toolbox. So we've converted another skeptic. I feel like I've been converting skeptics all over the place. Anyway,
I converted myself, Tommy.
I know you converted yourself. Yeah. I'm just taking credit for that's what you do. That's what you do on camera. Well, finally, I suppose it was a real pleasure to walk around the farm. Real pleasure to talk to you at the kitchen table as well for 2 mornings there. Such wisdom and experience, and there's nothing quite like it if we're willing to listen to it. But I suppose your tips on calf rearing, I might ask you a few things for people watching calf rearing, because there'll be more people who will be calf rearing.
Yes.
What are the top things that you have focused on here? Because you've gone through, I suppose, your loss rates, your performance. It's just outstanding what you do with calves. And when you see the attention to detail, you understand why. But I suppose some tips for people that might have stayed on to the end of this, just on calf rearing itself.
Yeah, I'd say over the years, what we learned as being most important is the basics: hygiene and space. So to reduce disease, hygiene and space. As much space as is possible underneath calves. Now, we are based in County Wexford here. That's the home of the straw. So we just use loads and loads of straw. And I don't think there's any substitute for that. Plastic slats, so on and so forth. I don't think so. Loads and loads of straw. Clean out your houses regularly. I would say feeding stations, then they're just areas that need to be power washed out regularly in the actual feeding station itself, and so on. And of course, drinking points. So hygiene, space, and there's no substitute for the stockman. You can hang the bells around their neck. All those things are an aid, but you need to be walking through them frequently. And by walking through them and being interested in them, in other words, getting to know them, that's how you'll clock if there's a problem.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, I think those key things: space, hygiene, extra straw, attention to detail. Don't be afraid to get in and look at your calves as often as you can.
Yes.
Phelim, it's been a pleasure to come down here.
Thanks.
Lots of wisdom. I think if anyone has a podcast on farming and wants to interview a very interesting man with some great opinions on farming and life, I tell him to find Phelim Kavanagh in Bunclody, because you're not just a fountain of knowledge in calves, but life itself. Happy, safe farming for the rest of the year, and happy calf rearing, successful calf rearing.
Thanks, Tommy.